And welcome back from our slightly extended break. We are back on the NECC. This time, we're going to be switching divisions. We're going over to Division 4 to bring on two new schools. It's going to be Texas A&M Purple, and it's going to be the school of Tarleton. Definitely a school I'm a little bit less familiar with, but it's just one of the fun week one vibes that we get.
Yeah, very excited to see both these teams going at it. As Texas A&M, they've been building up their esports program now for the last couple semesters, maybe 3 semesters at this point. Texas A&M Maroon being in the top 20, and then Texas A&M White being just outside the top 20 as well. So a lot of these lower teams, to me, might spell, the fact that they have a big esports program behind them might have some potential. As you mentioned, Tarleton State's one I'm not super familiar with, but I love diving into these lower divisions. This is where you start to see teams who we're not always going to necessarily see the meta. We might have teams that just play awesome, weird comps that they're just really good at, and they just stick to it, and it's really cool to see. So I can't wait for this to get started.
Those kind of games are honestly the most fun for me as well because I've seen the OWCS comps on the same maps time and time again, watching pro, even going back and watching Homecoming and some other high level collegiate. I want to see people just pick what they're comfortable on, pick what they like playing in ranked, and then basically just go for a 15-20 minute fist fight because those are just the most exciting games where it literally feels like every single moment feels like an entire game in itself.
And that's going to be something to admire and watch throughout this series as both teams looking to hopefully start hot in this division 4. As I mentioned, this is week 1, so both teams currently no wins, no losses. So it's going to be nice to try and get out and started week 1 with a win to try and just propel yourself and give yourself some good momentum heading into the season.
Yeah, and I know at least for the Texas A&M side, I know they've really been building up the esports, like you said, the last couple of years. I know they had a really good run in CVAL last year or the year before, and they've slowly been building up their program, and especially some of these bigger, like traditional D, getting a lot more resource and putting a lot more time and effort into the series or into the program as a whole as it goes on. So exciting to see what they are going to do, and who could have guessed it is going to be Lijiang
No,
Tower for our introductory map.
it's actually Ilios from what we were hearing in our
I heard
ears.
that,
They're
and then I
just
still said the wrong thing.
looking to fix that up a little bit. But Ilios to me is very, very fun and very, very interesting because unlike Li Zhang, Ilios is extremely dive centric. This is where you expect to see wrecking balls and hazards and Winstons and divas instead of like your Junker Queens, your Orissas, your Zarias, your Reinhardts, etc. Junker Queens. So I think it's going to be a complete dichotomy from our first series where we're going to see a total different style of play on this map.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, at least watching, that's a lot more fun. I know when I start hopping in ranked, I'd rather just play the OP Orisa that can basically never die and get me free elo, but I love to see these diva players, the Winstons, like you said, so much more skill expression, the creativity that we see, creating some of these off angles or just being that nuisance in the sky that the backline is constantly worried about, constantly stressing over, and that makes for a very, very fun game. I am a big Ilios fan as well, so this is a great way to get us going in map 1 with two teams yet to step into the server in NECC. This is your chance to walk away with that sweet 1-0 start. And now we get a quick look at the comps and see where they're going to break down.
Yeah, starting out with Texas A&M. This feels like more classic Ilios, where you get a hazard with like a Tracer Genji, which, as we talked about, is very, very prevalent right now in the meta. Tarleton State, I will say, given that it's this map of ruins, this is the map where you can play Brawl. It tends to be okay to play it on this map. So they are going to play the Junker Queen. But the combo they're playing here, the Mei with the Ashe, is very interesting. So the Mei is mostly going to be sticking with the Junker Queen, while Bajordo is going to be on kind of by themselves, just looking to take angles and find headshots. And the Moira Kiri is also another interesting support combo here.
Yeah, I just have to make sure that Moira and the Kiriko are very on top of the Queen's health bar. She gets caught out a little bit too long, obviously. She can do a lot of damage. She's not the tankiest tank that we have in the game, obviously, especially given the certain metas. And a little bit of chip damage back and forth. Nobody actually falling so far. It looks like Tarleton may have gotten the slight front foot forward, though. Nice little dynamite over the top from Bjord. Few nice shots go through as well. And hey, they've got the first capture.
To me, it's very strange to see the way this is playing out for Texas A&M Black. I mean, they're playing a hazard comp with Tracer Genji, and it feels like, at least as it sits right now, none of them are really on the same page. Now, like, if you're Hazard and Tracer Genji jump in, there should be no reason Bajor survives ever. Like, all they have is Coach Gun, and you can easily deal with that on this comp. So I feel like that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But I did like what Tarleton was doing, using that shout to move around, and they constantly just kept moving. They didn't allow people to stay in one spot and get caught out.
Yeah, I think that's the key when you're playing one of the comps that where you don't really, I mean, Joker Queen is a frontline, but it's not a Reinhardt, it's not an Orisa, so it's a very volatile frontline. So the more that you can move around, create these off angles, and play your spacing, I think it's just going to suit them that much better. There is the counterpunch out of Texas A&M, rather. Finally grabbing a few kills are the DPS, Spellspell and Viper, both making their names known. The only unfortunate part, the team was waiting to respawn, so they weren't able to take all that space they would like, and Fried Rice has been locking things down for Tarleton.
Love that name, by the way, Fried Rice.
Yeah.
Perfect Overwatch name. And now they find Claybird out. And despite, you know, finding all those picks for Texas A&M, having to go back and re-engage gave everything Tarleton State needed to get their players back, and they're able to finish it off. And they have a lot of... They haven't even had to use an ultimate yet, so they're in a really good spot. Final fight territory for A&M. They got to flip this point.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Not a single ultimate in the game has been used yet. Everybody was slowly building up to them. We haven't really had that massive 5v5 team fight, but now that Tarleton is going to be first to those buttons, it could be very, very dangerous. It is going to be the hazard ult out of Claybird first, trying to trap up some of these Tarleton State players. Unfortunately, not enough damage, and now they've got their ultimates of their own. They still have the Rampage and Bob in the back pocket, the Kitsune and the Coalescence both ready to go in about a moment's notice, and it looks like Tarleton State, one more kill should do the trick, and it'll be 0.1 to them.
It's so funny. You know, as a player myself, you get the victory rampage. I would have been that person who's like, I don't care. I would have used the on point on that mortar if I know Fate already, just to really stick it to him. But anyway, Tarleton State coming out guns a-blazing. I like seeing the Junker Queen comp. The only issue I have for the rest of these maps is it's not as viable on these more open, widespread maps where dives can be more easily achieved. So the question is, can they continue to still get this composition to work on these next two sub-maps that aren't going to be as conducive to running that type of composition?
Yeah, definitely worth noting. The Queen obviously wants to be in your face, use the hammer, use the knives, get up close and personal, and start brawling with you. But you get a little more spaced out with some of the DPS that can really target you from longer ranges. She can definitely feel a little bit isolating and a little bit harder to play, but so far, at least on the Ilios, Tarleton State playing into the map strengths very well. I don't think we're going to see too many swaps, if any, coming through for either team. So Texas A&M, they're going to be content to see what they can cook up here, but they definitely got to get something back. That 0.1 was a quick one.
Taking positioning in the side room over here, I think it's going to be very smart for the more brawl type composition to be able to play, which is going to make the dives that much harder, and already an opening pick for Damp.
Yeah, the Genji out of the fight does not get a spell. Good news for the side of Texas A&M, and now Corporate nowhere to run as well. A nice little throwing knife there from Fried Rice. Just a little bit wide right from the connection, but Tarleton, they do not care. That B point, it is all theirs all day. They are first to the capture yet again, and now it is going to be Texas A&M. Can you break out of the trap and see if you can bring the second point back?
I like what I've seen out of Dampish Penny so far on this May. That's going to be the one person, if you're Texas A&M, you want to ignore. So as long as they keep hitting these right clicks with those icicles, like that's all the value you need, because they're not even going to be looking at you.
Yeah, and then a face full of boop. I mean, yeah, sometimes it takes Lucio to get up close and personal and fire off that right click. Dampish will go down there, and Texas A&M, this would be a very good time to start to move forward. You could potentially swing the point over in your favor before the respawns come through, and to battle Lucio, why not? The one to get the job done. The rest of the team fills in nicely, and only 31% before Texas flips it.
Yeah, that was really interesting because I was just going on a tangent about how you want to ignore the May, and they're like, screw that noise. Let's just get rid of this May who's been killing us, which, you know, fairness to them, they're able to get it done. It's just, you know, with the icebox stuff like that, it can just take longer. A lot of ultimates coming online from Texas A&M Black as well. Tarleton State, because they won the fight so quickly and decisively, their ults are slow charging.
Yeah, and Texas A&M, meanwhile, they're about to have everything at their disposal to see if they can try to win this first team fight. A nice pulse bomb out of Spellspell. Golden Flame is able to take back the Kiriko in return, but it looks like Texas A&M, that was the first break that they needed. And now a Dragon Blade, just for good measure, is going to be able to find the first reset. It will get put away before the Queen can fall. It'll be Spellspell to finish off the fight, and Texas A&M now in control.
But now after that fight's kind of concluded, the thing you can say is that was two big ultimates off the table for Texas A&M, as Tarleton will be coming up on 4 out of their 5. The only thing is this Blizzard for Dampers Penny, there's just not a lot of value to be seen. Everyone in this conference, Texas A&M, is extremely mobile, so getting someone with Blizzard is going to be tough.
Yeah, and all the verticality and the different ways they can kind of scale this height, it can be very difficult to find that big 3-4 hero knockup, or slowdown rather. Viper's going to take down Bjorn to get us going. The Blizzard and the Coalescence and the Kitsune all getting activated, and it looks like the win buttons, the win conditions have been met for this fight at least. Claybird and Oats, the only two left to defend this point. It will be flipped back over to Tarleton, not before a 78% run by Texas A&M, and maybe they can get a stagger on the tank as well.
It looks like they're going to be able to get out. The question is, do they get the carry before the TP? No, TP is able to come out, and they're able to get out. 50% accounting for Tarleton State. They still have this Rampage online, so they got to make sure they get this Suzu out of Oats.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the biggest cooldowns that they can get to try to get some sort of combo set up, and now they're mad about the Battle Lucio. They saw Corporate wreaking havoc on the backline earlier. They swat the fly, and now they're able to regain full control of the point. Just got to find out where Spill Spell is lurking. They will take a little trip off the map, and it will be Tarleton yet again controlling the fight and looking to take the lead back.
This is where things are getting dangerous for Texas A&M. I mean, you lose that fight and don't force out a single ult, so they can still use this Rampage. Now they're going to have Bob be able to go into that. I mean, the only thing you're looking at for this next fight is a Pulse Bomb, and if it goes on long enough, you probably get the Downpour. So you got to make this Pulse Bomb count if you're Spill Spell.
Yeah, not having either of the support ultimates and the Dragon Blade being that far away, they're going to have to try to spell enough time so Claybird can get that ulti online and then fire it off with that Pulse Bomb and hope that something works. But now it's time for the 6th man of the year to make an entrance. Bjorn instantly taken out by Claybird though. So despite that, Bob comes in, Ash goes down. It's a huge Rampage out of Fried Rice. And now can they find the follow-up? So far it is looking to be the case. The Genji getting slowly drained by Golden Flames, and it'll be Tarleton just cleaning up that fight. Those ultimates you mentioned, they definitely made an impact there.
Yeah, and like, so it was a very well-placed Downpour for the side of Texas A&M Black. But not only do you avoid the Downpour because of the Rampage, because, you know, you basically dash out of it. It's like a dash. Then you also, not only did you use it to reposition yourself to avoid something like that, you also got like 3 players in it as well. So then you get them anti, their health is draining, and you're able to clean up all those kills. So that was a massive ultimate coming in from the side of Tarleton. Go up 1-0 in the series, and they really, despite, you know, being in a disadvantageous map, really made that Junker Queen composition work for themselves very well.
Yeah, that's the important thing. Even if something maybe isn't necessarily the best pick or in the best spot, as long as you play around it to the best of your ability, make sure that Queen's front line stays established. We saw several really good Rampages, like you said, that last one at the end especially. It's never knowing when she's going to decide to hit that go button, and then it's so hard to react to that in a split second, especially when everybody else was cooking on the site as well. So that is a clean game out of Tarleton. Texas A&M definitely brought it back there at the end, but just those ultimates at the end, I think, were really the kicker, like you talked about.
Yes, that's going to be the big question going forward with Texas A&M. I mean, and the problem too was, you know, I don't know if, you know, dive was necessarily a specialty. I mean, it seemed like the hazard with the Tracer Gidgee was fine, but that was a map very conducive to playing that style. And you still got kind of beat by a brawl composition. So it's like, do you take him to Kings where you're basically begging them to keep playing this Junker Queen? I mean, maybe you could pull it out and play it yourself, but I mean, if that was the case, you know, maybe you would have thought about trying it against them on that map. But I think only time will tell. I mean, obviously, bans can come into play in a pretty big way now that you know what Tarleton likes to play. But I think all of that's just got to be going through your head if you're A&M trying to get back in the series.
Yeah, you're thinking, what's the most comfortable map we have? Now, given the context of map 1, do we think playing that brawl style is actually going to work? Do we have one of these players that can pick up one of these brawl, one of these true, just beefy frontliners and just really stay alive long enough for the rest of the team to maybe find the kills they're looking for, or give the supports a little more of a grace window to, you know, get some of the heals through, at least keep you alive for that second and that third effort? So I'm definitely interested to see what the map is going to be. And it looks like we are going to have a sub in as well. I think Corporate was on the side of Texas A&M, and he's going to be subbed in for Tie-Dye. And we did see with Overwatch 2, now I know every team isn't running a 6-7 person roster, but we are seeing it so often now that the hero pool and the map pool has expanded so greatly.
I think it really depends. Like, okay, so it's almost, you're almost always guaranteed 6. I think for the most part, teams having one person who can play every single tank at the highest level is very hard to find. Like, your cuffs and your infecteds. It's just there's not a lot of those to go around. So I think a lot of teams tend to have more than one tank. One tank probably specializes more in brawl, the other specializes more in dive or whatever. It's just different hero differences. I think the same can be said sometimes for supports, because you have situations where sometimes you want a main and a flex support, but other situations predicated on double flex. So I think that's as well. But I think when it comes to DPS, normally you just want two DPS in there who are extremely flexible all around.
Yeah, and the tank thing was a really good point too, because I mean, back in the day when it was 6v6, you had a main tank and an off tank, which were vastly different roles, had very different responsibilities, completely separate play styles. So now trying to consolidate that into five, yeah, you might have that 6 man that, I play a lot of Reinhardt, I play a lot of Ramatra, I play a lot of brawl heroes, and then somebody else that's like, listen, I play mostly dive, I'm great at maneuvering to the backline, I'm great at creating space and opening up lanes for my DPS to really carry. And that's been a lot of the fun in Overwatch. And it looks like we are going to see Suravasa as the second map here as well.
Yeah, this has been one of those classic first few map picks. We didn't see it last series, but it doesn't surprise me we're seeing it here. It's definitely the favorite of all of the Flashpoint maps. I mean, especially given I actually don't know what team's opinion is on Atlas at this point, but it's not in the game right now because of bugs and stuff like that. So no shockers there. But Cervos is always going to be a fun map. It definitely tends to lean a little bit more. I mean, we've seen even like this being a pretty decent wrecking ball map is what I was trying to think of. Even like Crazy Raccoons is a map where they would pull out the wrecking ball and just go to town. But also, I mean, it's also a map where we've seen a lot of Winston, a lot of Hazard, but even Zarya might be good on this map where you want to go more of a brawl because Zarya is very strong right now.
Yeah, and especially when you get down to actually fighting over control of the points, because fighting in the in-between, obviously the brawl might not necessarily work as good. Trying to rotate around the map, having the Winston and the ball, you can take basically as much space as you want, as fast as you want, but then when it comes down to getting in that 5v5 and some of these smaller sites, these smaller areas where you just don't really have the verticality on some of the points, there is to some degree, but you're not going to be flying all over the place, creating these insane angles. It's going to be pretty much you're boxed in, and you're going to have to fight your way out. So I want to see if we're going to see Texas A&M go for the brawl style like we're thinking about, or maybe they've got some crazy out of the box idea that neither of us could ever see coming, especially after a loss.
And the best part about, these Flashpoint maps, especially after they've been reworked recently, like Cervasa was already a pretty solid map to begin with, but even with the changes they've made, it's just that much better. Opening up the initial exit points from your spawn, changing some of the pathing and flank routes that you can take on some of these points. It's only made these Flashpoints that much better. As we can see on the screen, Tarleton has banned Lucio, which is interesting given, Lucio was, it's pretty important for these brawl compositions. If it said an A&M Black Bastion, that's a little perplexing right there. I mean, it could have been a protect pick on a DPS.
Yeah, or maybe one of them has random intel that, hey, listen, damn for Bjord, they are an insane Bastion player. I played him in solo queue. Maybe and I think both schools are from Texas. Just looking at Tarleton's logo, I see the state of Texas. So maybe they have played at some lands locally before. Maybe they have actually met up in solo queue or are familiar with each other. It's always hard to tell because there's obviously so many players and so many matches being played, but definitely an interesting band we don't see too often. And we are going to see Bo. Obviously, Bo in for Claybird as well. Claybird played the Hazard on map 1. The other substitution made is going to be Bo stepping into the Zarya. So as we said, maybe a differentiation in style and preference, and this is the result.
I think this is going to be extremely interesting. Zarya versus Ramatra. Ramatra obviously, going to be a lot more tanky, but Viper's already going to open things up.
Yeah, Texas A&M, that is a much better start than on map 1. Instantly, the Ashe getting a taste of her own medicine. A nice cleanse to keep the Ramatra up for another extra second there. We do see Bo doing a good job to hold down the front line, and they're going to find another pick. So Moira going to be down. It looks like Bjorn may just be coming back off respawn. And now Texas A&M, they are first to the break, and they capture A.
Yeah, the Zarya, we talked about how strong it can be on this map, and I kind of, had that preamble where I'm like, even, where this could be a little bit more brawly, the Zarya, but Bjorn and Barry open things up to really come back quickly for Tarleton.
Yeah, Bjorn a little bit upset that they got killed with a headshot deflection. Always feels extremely bad when you're on the DPS and the Genji just diffs you like that, but we are going to see Oats just turn their life over there. Don't want to stagger that spawn too long, so Texas A&M, they lose the second round of fights. They'll go for the reset, and Tarleton State probably get this to about 25-30 before we see a contest.
Yeah, with how fast these points tick up, I mean, by the time this fight even breaks out, we're going to be in similar ult charge situations. Damn, the closest out there to being able to get an ultimate online here. Viper honestly probably get a blade here. Simply like if you're Tarleton, you gotta keep your head on a swivel and be ready for Viper to be coming in strong with that blade.
Yeah, and there's still enough
Great
time
wall,
on the
though.
point where the ultimate decisions will have to be made. Everything doesn't want to be necessarily used that once in case there is that second and third effort. We did see the Blizzard get invested for a hot second. Viper not going to decide to use the blade. Maybe waiting for a better moment. Ultimately, though, gets isolated, separated from the rest of the team. And now this Ashe can just get to free fire away. And we have seen Bjord, besides the one deflection kill early, just on target with the
This is
right
one thing that's been surprising to me. The fact that you can play that Tarleton's been able to force the Ashe so consistently so far. Like, this is definitely not like a super heavy Ashe map. Not a bad map, a bad Ashe map or anything. But I feel like Texas A&M also, I feel like that's the one player who's super targetable on this team. They're just not going for it.
Yeah, speaking of targetable, it looks like Viper trying to target somebody with the blade and then getting a left hook to the jaw, and then Damp with the last kill there. And now you've got a very angry Ramatra running down the rest of your crew, and it looks like Texas A&M, despite the first team fight win, are going to get rolled out here. 10 kill streak for the Ram, and ultimately point A over to Tarleton.
Yeah, a great turnaround. The Ramatra talked about how tanky it is. I mean, literally, before the new season came out, Ramatra was extremely meta. Where literally you just sit there and hold your hands up and you just don't die. Like, and then at some point they gave Ramatra, after nerfing him, gave him a couple more, 50 more armor, I believe, and that's been enough to not make him meta, but still a solid pick. So Tarleton State taking full advantage of that, and they're gonna have an annihilation for this next fight. If needed, and they have a coalescence too to counter out this graviton coming in.
Good call. Yeah, I was about to say, I was checking over the ultimates to see if Texas was going to decide to maybe go for something here, and the Orbital Ray will be the first chip to fall here. Spill Spell and Bo both sitting on ultimates, but there is the Genji. Viper ripping everybody to shreds, a quadra kill for them, and a team kill for Texas A&M, so that was a good call on that. The Orbital Ray, all the juice they needed to win that one through.
Yeah, that's actually huge to be able to win that with only just the Orbital Ray. And that was just A&M, being quicker to the gun, just being faster on it because they had the ult. There's the grab now.
Yeah, that is a 5-hero grab, and that is a pulse bomb for the combo. That is how you draw it up in scrims. In VOD review, that was perfect execution. There was the time to use the rest of the ultimates, and it could not have worked out better.
To me, that's also a little bit of poor communication on the side of Tarleton. Not that they got grabbed or anything, but I feel like the coalition should not have been popped because you should have known that pulse bomb was coming. You got to be tracking that and knowing even with coalitions, you can't outlive that.
Yeah, and you hate to just accept that you're going to take the L with the 2 ultimate combo, but sometimes it's better to keep that util into the back pocket. But now we are going to see the beauty of annihilation, courtesy of Fried Rice. We saw Viper pop the blade in between everything, thinking maybe they could try to win that point over, get it to a 99 overtime stall, but now 2 big cooldowns off the table. Damp still on the May, no Blizzard, and then obviously that annihilation burned up. So Texas A&M will have a chance at a nice counterpunch soon.
I agree, but they also use A&M Black used Rally and Blade in that fight, so they don't really have anything of their own. Bjord can still throw in the Bob on the point. I kind of like the state Tarleton's in right now. If I'm A&M, I'm just going in and trying to force out these ults from Tarleton and look to take it on the next fight.
Yeah, I thought I heard the win button get used, but I didn't actually realize the rally was invested. That is an even bigger cooldown maybe than some of the other ones that we listed. And now we do see that Bob is ready to be deployed, but Bjord, it's all gunny for them. They do not need the extra attacker, and now it's going to be Tarleton back up to their old ways. They have got Texas A&M retreating for safety.
That was actually really bad for A&M Black to be able to allow Tarleton to win that fight without any ult commitment whatsoever. So now you're in a hope and a prayer situation where you need Spill Spell to come through in a big way with this Pulse Bomb that's incoming.
Yeah, the Pulse Bomb's got to be mega, and you better pray that Bo somehow can get to the Graviton before the fight ends up finishing. It's going to be Kitsune and Bob, though, out of Tarleton. They know exactly what time it is. This Ramatra's fists are flying. Viper's trying to make something happen here. But Bob, along with the rest of the crew from Tarleton, they are just cleaning the fight. And the 2 ultimates is all that they need to catch that right timing, and it is a team kill.
And again, Tarleton with, the ability that even though they let some ult percentage happen on the point, be able to win the fight. And then once they have control of the point, they just never let go. They're really good at playing their positioning and counter-rotating and just putting themselves in great spots to win. And now they'll have control of this point, plus a Blizzard to throw down if they need it.
Yeah, and this is one of those points especially where I said, you know, a lot of the verticality gets kind of taken out of the window here. Everyone's going to be forced to kind of fight in these small confined spaces, and that is where Damp wants everybody to be. You get the Coalescence going with the Blizzard. Fried Rice will pop the Annihilation. It can get very dangerous. Orbital Ray will be the first thing invested into this fight, though. This Ramatra getting dangerously low, but the Blizzard to save the tank. And then a few right clicks and some fist flying will take down Bo. And Tarleton, you said it perfectly. Once they get set up to play this defense, they are just lockstep with each other.
Yeah, and now they have control of the point. And, you know, once they've had that, they've just never been able to let it go. But they will have this Graviton Surge online. No +1 to combo it with this time, but they can combo it with the Blade. That's just as potent a combination as well. But I will say the Coalescence has a better shot of being able to heal through that than it would a Pulse Bomb, because the Pulse Bomb is just burst crazy amounts of damage. The slashes, like, they won't get like one hit KOs with just a slash.
Yeah, and as long as Golden Flame can position correctly and make sure they stay alive, they get the full use of that Coalescence, and it just feels like an endless damage drought for the side of A&M. We are going to see the Graviton Surge and the Rally both getting invested. The Annihilation's going to be the response to that one. Viper dies before the Blade can be invested at all, and that means Tarleton State, they've got this fight as good as won. It's a lowly Tracer all by their lonesome, and it is the Ramatra in Fried Rice. Yet again, team kill, and I believe that's the map.
Tarleton takes the series into a 2-0 lead. And I don't know if you saw it in that final fight, but that was all about Dampish Penny. When that grab came online, perfect wall to protect them for like the first 2 seconds of that grab, and then it allowed time for the Moira to be able to get that Coalescence going, so then there was nothing they could do about it. So that was really well played by Dampish Penny. I think all in all, they probably still would have ended up winning the map, but it saved them, you know, having to take more fights and taking more time to do it.
Yeah, give a lot of credit to Damp there. Even at the end, we saw the Ramatra and Fried Rice get very low, dueling with the Zarya, throw the wall down, stall out the rest of the team, then pop the Blizzard at the very last second, because you know, if we're in a tank fight right now and that Zarya goes down, this game is going to be immediately won for us. Viper just died, didn't use the Blade. They're still respawning far away, and Tarleton just understood the assignment, and once they got locked in on that defense, they were just able to establish that front line, and there was no breaking through it.
All right, folks, Tarleton takes a massive 2-0 lead in the series. The big question is, where does A&M take us from here, and what bands do we see? Because they are on match point is Tarleton. We're going to take a quick break and give these teams to reset and refocus, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Different map and different lineup for Texas A&M, but the result remained the same. Tarleton with an absolute statement on Saravasa, taking it 3-0 as far as the points go, now bringing them to 2-0 in the series. It was the Ramatra. It was a great play out of the supports. We saw Bjord making fantastic plays on the Ashe, and just overall, pick any player from that series, from that team, and you could find a bright moment for them. And now they've got one more map to try to close it out.
Yeah, and we see on screen that A&M is bringing us to Watch Point Gibraltar, which I think is the smartest move they could have done. They have shown the capability to play dive-ish compositions with like the Hazard. I don't know if you're going to want to play Hazard on this map specifically, but you know, maybe substitute a Diva or Winston in there. But we have not seen that in the bag for Tarleton. Both maps they played a version of a Brawl, and this is a map where I don't know if you can force Brawl. Like, I know we saw them do it on videos, but Watchpoint is strictly a dive map.
Well, I think you can try to force Brawl. I don't know how well you're going to do if you try to force it the entire way through. Maybe they even try it out for a fight or two and go, okay, this is what we thought was going to happen. Now we have to pivot. But the bands that are going through for Tarleton, they're going to take away the Hazard. And then for Texas A&M, they will be taking away the Moira.
Which, the Hazard, no surprises at all. I mean, we saw them play that on Ilios, so Tarleton, it makes sense that they're going to ban that. But defensively, this is just classico Watchpoint Gibraltar for Texas A&M. Winston, Tracer Genji with an Ana Brig. Just warms the heartstrings. For Tarleton, I kind of want to see what they're actually going to roll out on. It's hard to imagine they're going to play double hit scan with Winston and the Lifeweaver Kiri, but again, like I mentioned, this is Division 4, so you never know for sure.
Yeah, and unless we see, I think that is going to be the starting five that they are rolling out with. And I respect it. If you're good at these heroes and you're confident, that is oftentimes the best play to make. Don't try to overthink it. Don't do something that you're not good at. Just play that game you know how to play and see how the chips may fall. It is Tarleton that'll be going in on the offense first, trying to see how far they can get this payload. And this is the Winton battle we're going to be seeing for a very long time on this map.
Yeah, but in this situation, yeah, here we go. We need this. Oh, Spill's going to go down because that's exactly what needed to contest the cart, but they get punished in the span of doing so. And Tarleton's also, Fried Rice going to miss that jump. Not ideal.
Yeah, and I like that Tarleton is just going to go for the speed run strat. If we have to get out from this underpass, otherwise this is one of the worst places to try to navigate team fights, especially if you got somebody like Viper flinging around on the back line. That is the beauty of the Sojourn as well. A few well-placed shots and then a little right click from the railgun. You can do so much DPS, as we just see Fried Rice doing exactly what they did on the Ramatra, just locking things down on the front line.
Okay, so now we're going to see Turtle getting very dropped down. Yeah, this is what we need to see from this Wizard composition. Getting nice, clean, cut dives, especially onto these hit scans. Ash, Soldier, I know they have a coach gun and a slide, but they're extremely, extremely susceptible to a good dive from a Winston, Tracer, Genji. There's no reason why these hit scans live for as long as they have been.
Yes, especially if Bo can catch the timing and realize, oh, Ash just used Coach Gun. I now have a 6-second window where she literally has zero counterplay to me, and the same goes with the other dive as well. With the Sojourn slide, we are going to see the rally getting activated for Turtle, and now the Primal Rage from Fried Rice is going to be the response. They are getting slapped around in the corner, but it's going to be Bo that finds the first one of the fight. Finally, the other Winston getting his hands dirty and finding a kill onto the Brig, and we're going to see if this Ana will be able to survive a well-placed sleep and will escape on 1 HP while Viper does the rest of the work.
Yeah, and then they're going to basically be able to clean up everything, survive with near-death experience for the Tracer and the Ana, and be able to get out. This is what we need to see from Texas A&M. As we're seeing Dampish Penny trying to make something happen. Blaze coming out, slice and dice.
Yeah, this is Viper. He's been frying all game long already, but then it will be the shutdown out of Bjord, so the Dragon Blade will go for naught. We did see the Pulse Bomb, the Rally, and a Nano invested shortly before that as well. So Tarleton, this is a fantastic timing for you now to push that advantage and really, really put that pressure on.
You still have to deal with the Angry Monkey, and that's a great anti-nade that's going to be forcing the Life Grip out, but he's been done. Dampish finds one with the Overclock. I'm surprised they didn't pop Primal. That could have given you the sustain you needed to keep that fight alive. But in the end, Tarleton able to get that first point.
Yeah, I don't think I would have hated the Primal there either. I think there was like a minute 25 left on the clock, so even if you can buy another 25-30 seconds, which is not unreasonable within the Primal Rage, I think they might have been able to at least slow down the push of Tarleton, but the good thing is now you still have the Primal in the back pocket and you can really set yourself up for a nice fight.
This is where things get interesting. This is where I think the Life Weaver Kiri starts to lose its value a little bit. I mean, outside of the poles, I'm not sure Life Weaver is doing a whole lot here, because you don't really need pedal. I mean, you have pedal platforms for your hit scans. That's about it, because Winston's not going to be able to want to do something like that. And see, even the pole doesn't get them in a good position, because look at that, Bjorn's already on, Bo's already on top of them.
Yeah, luckily though, they were able to take down Spill Spell, so no harm was really done to the Ash. Bjord was able to walk away. A disruption kill over onto Viper. And once again, it looks like Tarleton, they've got the start to the fight that they were looking for. We see a nice anti on the Fried Rice, but they should be able to escape with their life. Pulse Bomb not going to be able to find the mark, but it looks like the shots from Bo and Spill will do the job just fine. And now it's just a mix fest trying to fight over the payload. Texas A&M trying desperately to stop Tarleton's push.
Is the rally is going to get forced out by Turtle, but Dampish and Fried Rice find two. And it looks like they're going to eventually cap this point with just a Winston on the point. It is going to be all but fraught for this second point, as Tarleton, after taking a very long time on their first point attack, speed runs second point and gets them 3.5 minutes to try and get this third point.
Yeah, that was a really great job of them. I think understanding that when Bo didn't use the Primal to fight over the payload earlier, that they were going to have to fight off some ultimates, but they came ready with all the utility and all the tools in the world. Obviously, the Tree of Life out of Golden Flame, that extra bit of sustain, and then the Primal from Fried Rice to just give them that little bit of extra oomph in the team fight, extra access to the backline. So Tarleton now 3 minutes to finish the map, and Spill Spell down yet again.
That's going to be the big key because Tarleton still has a lot to be able to use, and Fried Rice is just going on a tear.
Yeah, there is no fear on anyone in the Tarleton side right now. It was the exact same gameplay on the Ramatra. It was W Key Gaming left, right, and center. And the Ultimate's now going to be favoring Tarleton as we swing what could be our last team fight or two. Viper going to go with the Blade. It's got to be a big one. You got to try to find some value. The Life Weaver, though, helping to outplay the Genji. Luckily, Spell can find one back, but Tarleton surviving what could have been a very, very bad fight at the beginning.
Additional slide perks coming through for Dampish Penny as well to be able to avoid this Winston. And they still have a full war chest of ultimates to be able to use. Just under 2.5 minutes in their rounding. One fight will get them this point across the finish line and cap all 3 points.
Yeah, it might just come down to the Nano Monk to try to save the game. Bo going to be at about 99. Bob will get activated. The overclock will be in as well, but it is the dive of Fried Rice. This backline has no chance of survival. This Winston is everywhere all at the same time. Now they're going primal, swinging on everybody. Bo trying to keep the fight alive in at least some form or fashion, but now that's going to be the tank down. A few more people maybe make it, but now the timer not looking good. Tie-Dye Turtle can't make it, and Tarleton a $150 on the clock, and they finish it.
And all in all, that's a pretty solid time bank, considering it was looking a little rough there on first point, but once they finally got it, they got rolling. And, you know, me questioning the Life Weaver, I think actually it found itself some really good value, because it felt like every time Viper went for a Blade, they're like, no, you don't, and pull the person away. So that can be extremely frustrating, especially for a Genji who's trying to get someone with a Blade, because, you know, if they get pulled out of position like that, they don't really have the movement to be able to get to someone else.
And it's almost a get out of jail free that you forget about in a fight. You might dive the Ashy Coach Guns. You think, okay, this is our timing. There's so much else going on that you just forget Life Weaver is sitting in the back waiting for the perfect moment when you pull out that Blade. And as you said, we saw it 2 or 3 times where Bjorn and one of the other DPS just get completely bailed out. And that is the beauty of the hero, and that is why it can work so well. As long as you can keep that DPS alive, that is completely farming. It can really turn the fight for you. And now Texas A&M, they are up against a bit of a hill.
Question is it too steep of a hill to climb, or will they be able to claw back? Because not only are they going to have to finish all 3 points, but then we're going to have to go into extras. They're going to have to win this map and then the next 2. And then from here on out, even if they manage to win this map, the maps and the bans are going to be in favor of Tarleton after this map. So this is why reverse sweeps are so hard to come by, folks. But if anyone can do it, hopefully A&M is the ones to be able to do it.
Yeah, I think the mindset for A&M this map as well is don't even think about the first 2 games. You just take this literally one team fight at a time, one info collection at a time. Just go bit by bit and try to slowly build your way back into the series. You're not going to get it all back at once. The clock, though, staring at the top of that while the time on the series is essentially getting drained out, can definitely start to put a little more pressure on you, and you can maybe start to force things a little bit extra.
The honest trap there, if they had a disruptor shot, which they will here in a second. I say that, but Viper's found one.
And we did see the tank of Texas A&M getting taken out, though, so basically going to be a net neutral trade. They are going to try to go for a little bit of a back cap here, or at least try to sneak this one underneath. Tracer getting zapped up just a little bit. Spell not able to find a health pack, will get taken out by the punch, and Texas A&M stalls the push.
Is going to be the thing is controlling this high ground as Tarleton kind of give it up there to make sure they can contest the point, but Texas A&M right away made sure to try and get control of it. Yeah, nice sleep there to stop the pressure on the supports, but that's a lot of damage taken by your Wizards. I think the supports are there to heal it up.
Yeah, and give a lot of credit. Fried Rice has been living in front of this doorway, just essentially trying to take Bo out of the game, out of the equation, to say, listen, I trust my backline more than I trust your backline. I'm going to do what I can to keep them alive. And now we see the Primal Rage. You've got to think, if he gets low on HP, this is going to be a prime time for it, and there it goes. This Ana has absolutely nowhere to go. Getting absolutely slammed to the side hall, and Tarleton right now and Fried Rice just creating so much space for the team to operate. And now there's only 2 minutes left on the clock, and they have been completely nullified.
Yeah, but this was about the time where Tarleton started to get it together on the offense. We see Spellspell trying to put pressure on this point and on the Kirika, which I think was very smart, but they are going to get punished for it in the end. Now you're in a position where things are starting to get very scary for A&M. Tarleton has only been forced to use the Primal. They're going to have pretty much every other ultimate to counter your war chest that you have coming into this next fight.
Yeah, A&M might feel confident with those ultimates, but they are going to be in for a rude awakening, especially if Dampish can land a killer railgun overclock shot onto somebody and stall out the entire push. Instead, it's going to be the Nano Winston Bow, slowly but surely getting up to the Primal Rage as well. The Nano should be wearing off in a moment or two. They've got Rally and they've got Primal. Luckily for A&M, they will not need either of them. They just find the kills that they were looking for. Tarleton looks like they did find some sort of response, but I do believe they will get the time bonus.
You do lose Dampish Penny there, so they wanted to touch, they could go for it, but Tarleton's just gonna forbade the point to get better positioning on the second bullet, which I think is pretty smart, because having control of this spaceship, especially since you're running double hit scan, that's going to be very important for them on the second point, is not allowing A&M to take the high ground away from them.
Yeah, and if they full sent it that fight, even if they ended up winning it, there's a real chance Texas A&M gets a full respawn. Everybody can come back, get the ultimates one more time, and then you're back to square one. Dampish, though, this is where the Sojourn just loves to live. Disruptions on the doors, dynamite on the door, and left and right clicks for anyone that somehow makes it through. And they find enough kills to win the fight. And as you said, those ultimates, they are definitely looking threatening on the Tarleton side.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm like, they had that on the last fight. They still didn't have to use anything else. I guess that's the power of being able just to control high ground like this with double hit scan, is you can just win these neutral fights pretty easily and not have to commit any ultimates. And they're going to get the spill spell with the right click.
That is the best feeling for a tank, is when you can right-click a Tracer with the Winston. The Dragon Blade out of Viper, though, they've been performing very, very well. They just haven't been able to find that pop-off blade so far. We did see the Primal also getting invested, so A&M, not necessarily that they're panicking, but they've still got a decent bit to go, and these ultimates aren't getting them anything. And if you look over, Tarleton still holding on to all five.
Yeah, it was a great disruptor shot because they get the Genji down. There's not much else they can do from there. Now you got the Winston, so that's just going to have to be a GG, go next, go back to the spawn room and reset if you're the side of Texas A&M. You're going to lose Turtle there, and yeah, exactly. And again, all they used was another Primal. The other four still just held on to their ults. We literally had a cycle, JOBIN, where the DPS and the supports had their ults, and it's been through 2 cycles of Primal.
2 primals and 3 full 5v5 team fights. And like you said, they're just sitting on their hands waiting, saying, listen, once there's 45 seconds left and we all click these buttons, there is very little chance that you're going to get a second chance at a good fight or even be able to break through this front line and all this damage that we're going to put out. So Tarleton right now just waiting for that world-class moment to send it.
Well, it's crazy because at this point, even if they committed these ults, they probably could have built up some new ones in the amount of time anyway, so it's not like it really matters, but they're still winning the fight regardless.
Yeah, again, the Winston on Winston violence. Fried Rice, though, or rather Bo, trying to skip it and go to the backline supports, not able to connect on anybody. Now the overclock for Dampish. They have been shooting straight all map long, and Bo getting a little bit overeager, getting punished by an angry Canadian, and now it's going to be Bjorn taking out Tie-Dye and the rest of Texas A&M. They will fall momentarily after, and now the ultimates still favoring Tarleton, and now the time at 50 seconds and counting.
They will have the spill spell pulse bomb, but that's pretty much it. 40 seconds on the clock, and with Gibraltar, these fights take a long time to set up and get going, so this is likely the last fight. Tarleton State's going to have the Bob to throw onto point if needed, and a tree to keep the team alive.
Yeah, and realistically, Fried Rice, the way they've been playing, this Primal Rage is about 10 seconds off getting popped, especially at least getting to the point where it is online. Everybody else right now waiting for the time to hit those ultis. Bob will be the first chip to fall in this fight. Now Pulse Bomb is going to get invested. They can't find anything. And now you've lost your Brig before she can hit the rally. That is everything that Texas A&M had. And nothing is going to stick. The Ash with Bob just lighting up the feed. Blood. Oh my god, they got the capture. What?
I mean,
how?
The C9 is so bad. Like,
oh my.
I thought it was over. Then I look, I'm like, wait, how's there a minute and a half on the clock? And they're like, wait, they got the point.
I was more than convinced it was over. I was like, what a play by Tarleton. Great team fight. Killed everybody. What a way to finish the series. But I guess they're going to have to run it back at least one more time. And Texas A&M, they're going to have the slight ult advantage now going in. So they can still make this interesting if they can win relatively quickly.
Yeah, and with the Escort, it doesn't matter how much time you have on the clock. You're still going to get to go into extras no matter what. So all they have to do is make sure they finish this map. And Viper getting Dampish Penny right off the gut is going to be a great way to start this third point.
Yeah, we're going to see Blade, Nano, and Rally all ready for A&M. These are some very tough tools to try to navigate. There they go, the anti-nade on the Golden Flame, and then it is a Blade locking down the spawn. And it looks like A&M may have found enough kills at the same time to win this point through. We do see Fried Rice going primal, trying to keep the game alive. The respawns have actually come through. The Winston has bought enough time for the team to regroup, but they've still got a fight through an absolute front line, and they're not able to find the touch, so we're going to OT.
This is what I talked about. A&M just needing to take this slowly. Just make sure they get all 3 points. I wouldn't have worried too much about the time bank. And just finally getting some positive momentum on your side. And this is exactly what they were hoping and needing for. Even the C9 can sometimes really get into teams' heads. So you got to hope that Tarleton's not dwelling on that too much. But once that happened, especially because we were talking about, man, they lost so many players. Texas A&M lost so many players in that fight at the end of second point who had ultimates who could have pressed it and couldn't because they died. Then it's like, oh, wow, the C9, and now they're going to have ult advantage because those players died with ult.
Yeah, let's see if Tarleton can kind of just at least throw that the last 2-minute sequence, I guess, away and say, listen, we've played so good through all of map 1 and literally up until the last minute of this map 3, or map 1 and 2, and up to the end of map 3. So I think they've got a lot that they can take away from and say, listen, when we locked in, I mean, they won the team fight, right? Like you said, they just a little bit of an oopsie right at the end, but they did everything right. Just a few small mistakes that give credit to A&M. They did eventually find the timings for those ultimates, and they really, really paid off.
So
here we go. Extras. Texas A&M will be on the attack first, I believe. Yeah, I was correct on that. So they're only going to have a minute. Both teams did struggle on their first point attacks, so this will make things very interesting.
Yeah, we did see a pretty slow first minute or 2 out of both squads, so I think this first engagement and maybe the first backline member to get picked off or isolated, it is Bjorn getting hit with the anti. Thought maybe that would be the first one to go, but Viper and the Genji taken out by Fried Rice, and give so much credit to Fried Rice this series. They have literally been everywhere on the map, and now they're going to take down Bo, and realistically, A&M, that gives you about 1 more fight to get back on, and then it's Stamp just grabbing a 2-piece in the crossfire. Everything working early for Tarleton in this overtime.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not ideal either because your supports get extremely staggered. So, I mean, now it's just you're going to be touching with seconds left on the clock, hoping to make something happen. You're not going to be able to put your supports in ideal positions either because of the late staggers.
Yeah, there's just no choice in positioning anymore. You have to run to the point. You have to send it with everything you have, and you might have to fight the rest of the map without your lovely backline. Both of the DPS, not just Viper, will get cut down where they stand, and I fear this might be the end of the road for Texas A&M, at least in the start of the overtime. Tarleton obviously won't have too far to go, and they'll have 2:21 to do it.
Yeah, I mean, 27.8 meters to me is not, if I'm being honest, it's not inspiring a lot of confidence for me. I know both teams took a while to be able to get the first point, but I mean, Tarleton was able to get it at least underneath the bridge relatively quick. It took them a while after that. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult for A&M to be able to hold this close with 2.5 minutes, but anything is possible. The problem is with A&M is even one pick from the side of Tarleton, and I think it might be over. Like, because they're just going to be able to snowball, and with close response, even if you trade out, like, it's not ideal at all.
Yeah, one pick, or even if Tarleton can kind of just play a 50-50 game and they can get to the ultimates first, all they got to do is click those buttons one time, and there is a very real chance they're getting to at least the base of the bridge. As you said, Tarleton did a good job to get it, at least scurry it under the bridge fast as possible. Texas A&M was not afforded the same opportunity. Viper and Spillspell both taken out by Fried Rice early in the fight, and that spelled doom and gloom. And realistically, yeah, one pick, these backline of A&M, they have got to be on their P's and Q's or it is over.
You know, that's a very underrated phrase I haven't heard in a long time. Be it on the P's and Q's. Like, I really like that one. You don't hear it a lot. All right. I digress. Here we go. Tarleton pulling out the Bastion initially. It's cute and cheeky to probably get a quick pick, possibly on a exposed Winston, but I feel like long term, you definitely don't want to be on that. I guess maybe I think that was this close. I mean, look at that. The Genji's.
Yeah.
Viper has to get this mega, or he was. I mean, you're kind of screwed there with Fried Rice.
Yeah, he got put between a rock and a hard place. It was either you're going to die one way or the Winston will eventually just run you down. And there was really no counterplay for Viper there. And that may have just been the one pick that Tarleton needed. As we said, they're going to be first to the ult charges. They won't even need them. One more meter will seal the fate of Texas A&M for the evening, and now we see the Bastion. All you needed it for was those 30 seconds. As you said, don't even need to worry about the late-game Bastion problems. Tarleton with a 3-0 definitely got challenged on the Gibraltar, but they showed they are going to be a step ahead, at least for the time being, and just a great effort. I know I called his name a lot, but a Fried Rice just dismantling that A&M backline at will, it seemed like.
And this is a great way to open up the fall semester for Tarleton State. Getting a nice 3-0 in Division 4 to, you know, just build some positive momentum going forward. And I think Tarleton has also put a big exclamation point as a team to watch out for in Division 4.
Yeah, we got to see the dive comp, we got to see some brawl, so they can at least play a few different styles. We did see Texas A&M at least try to swap a few players, bring in some subs. They had varying levels of success. They definitely found a lot of really good fights on the Gibraltar. Just unfortunately, they weren't left with really any wiggle room at the end. They had like 50 seconds to try to make something happen. Even if they get that 40 or 50 meters, you're still basically fighting a 2.5-minute team fight where you can afford to make no mistakes. So put themselves in a tough spot, but they still had a chance to win in the end at least.
Yeah, I think in the end, I think that Bastion, you know, as I mentioned, I'm like, it was questionable at first, but I'm like, well, you only got to get like 20-something meters, and if you can get enough damage on someone and force the Genji to be in a bad spot like they did, then I guess it's kind of worth it. So congratulations to Tarleton taking this series in 3-0 effect. As you can see, Ilio Servaso, Watch Point Gibraltar. Watch Point was a little bit closer. The other two maps, not so much. But earlier, also just to remind anyone who's watching earlier, we did have Cumberland going up against Warner. Cumberland taking that pretty comfortably 3-0 and showing their pickup of Cave is going to be game-changing in NECC for this Division 1. And then obviously you guys saw what just happened with Tarleton State and A&M. Tarleton looking very good. And then with that, that's pretty much going to wrap up everything for us tonight. I'd like to thank every one of you guys in the chat. I saw it was pretty lively between both matches. For tuning in. Thank you, JOBIN. I mean, I think pretty good for our first cast together. We'll build on that as the season goes. And thank you to Chippy and Reach, who were behind the scenes prodding and observing. We could not do what we do if it wasn't for the awesome people we have behind the scenes. And we will see you guys in, I believe, in 3 weeks, because Tiny and Twin Salty will be doing the next 2 weeks in a row. So make sure you guys tune in and watch them, and we will see you guys in the next broadcast.